President Cyril Ramaphosa has sounded the alarm on growing tensions within the ANC-led alliance, warning that a formal split with the South African Communist Party would deal a devastating blow to South Africa's transformation agenda. Addressing party members behind closed doors, Ramaphosa admitted the alliance was in a fragile state, stressing that unity was essential to sustain pro-poor, pro-worker policies. His warning comes amid rising public criticism from the SACP, which has accused the ANC of sidelining its partners, abandoning socialist principles, and embracing market-driven policies at the expense of the working class. As the SACP flirts with the idea of contesting elections independently, Ramaphosa's message was clear: a fractured alliance would not only divide the left, it would derail the mission of building an equitable, just, and democratic South Africa. President Cyril Ramaphosa has issued a stern warning that has sent ripples across the political landscape of South Africa, cautioning that any formal split between the African National Congress and the South African Communist Party would be nothing short of disastrous for the future of the alliance's transformation agenda. In a climate already thick with political uncertainty and deep ideological rifts, Ramaphosa's remarks are being viewed as both a plea and a preemptive strike, a direct attempt to hold together an alliance that is visibly fraying at the seams. Speaking to party faithful during a closed-door political engagement, Ramaphosa expressed concern over growing tensions between the ANC and the SACP, tensions that have spilled into the public domain in recent months. The president made it clear that while disagreements are expected in any long-standing alliance, the current posture of open defiance, public criticism, and political chest-thumping risks collapsing a partnership that has, for decades, served as the backbone of South Africa's progressive governance vision. His comments arrive at a time when the SACP has become increasingly vocal about its frustrations with the ANC's governance style, its perceived policy drift, and the dominance of market-driven decisions over pro-worker, pro-poor economic strategies. Figures like Solly Mapela have not held back, lambasting the ANC for arrogance during coalition talks, sidelining its alliance partners, and betraying the socialist principles that once defined the liberation movement. The growing possibility of the SACP contesting elections independently has become more than just speculation, it now hangs over the alliance like a political sword. Ramaphosa did not attempt to sugarcoat the threat. He admitted that the alliance was in a fragile state, but insisted that its survival is non-negotiable if South Africa is to continue pushing forward a transformation agenda rooted in equity, redress, and shared prosperity. He warned that a public rupture would not only divide the working class vote but also hand political ammunition to opposition forces eager to dismantle what remains of the ANC's historical legitimacy. At the heart of Ramaphosa's warning is a political reality he knows all too well: fragmentation is fatal in coalition politics. In a post-majority era where the ANC can no longer govern alone, alliances are not just partnerships, they are survival tools. The SACP may not command electoral muscle on its own, but it plays a critical role in mobilizing grassroots activism, policy development, and ideological clarity. Losing that would be more than symbolic, it would be strategic suicide. But the president's warning also carries an unspoken tension. Many within the SACP feel they have already been sidelined. They argue that the ANC has turned the alliance into a one-way street, where the Communist Party is expected to campaign, defend, and legitimize ANC rule without ever truly influencing the policy levers of state. The continued implementation of neoliberal economic policies, the slow pace of land reform, the hollowing out of state capacity, and rising unemployment have all been cited as reasons why the alliance is no longer functioning as it should. Ramaphosa attempted to address this by calling for a renewed compact within the alliance, one that respects the unique identity and voice of each partner, but insists on unity in action. He said the transformation agenda cannot be a solo project, nor can it be reshaped every 5 years based on internal squabbles or external pressure. It must be anchored in shared goals and collective strategy. Whether that call will resonate inside the SACP's increasingly assertive leadership remains to be seen. The stakes couldn't be higher. South Africa's social fabric is straining under the weight of inequality, youth unemployment, and eroding public trust in state institutions. The alliance was always meant to be the vehicle that delivered justice and dignity to the majority, anchored by the ANC's mass appeal, COSATU's labor strength, and the SACP's ideological discipline. To see it unravel now, just as the country is navigating the most complex phase of its democratic journey, would be a profound setback for the progressive project. Some insiders say Ramaphosa's remarks may be too little too late. The SACP has already commissioned internal research into the viability of contesting elections independently. Younger voices within the party argue that the ANC is no longer capable of self-correction, and that the Communist Party's relevance is now tied to its ability to stand on its own feet. They believe that contesting elections will give the SACP a platform to fight for socialist alternatives more forcefully, without being shackled by ANC compromises. However, others caution that such a move would backfire. The political terrain is already fragmented, and the electorate is increasingly disillusioned. Adding another competitor to the left of the ANC may not result in meaningful representation for the SACP, but rather the dilution of the entire progressive vote, leaving space for populists, opportunists, and neoliberal coalitions to dominate. Ramaphosa, who has long walked the tightrope between ANC pragmatism and alliance loyalty, is now confronting a moment where fence-sitting is no longer an option. His leadership will be tested not by how he manages parliament or international summits, but by whether he can keep the core of the liberation movement intact. His plea to the SACP is not just about saving the alliance, it's about saving the soul of a political project that, while battered and imperfect, still represents the hopes of millions. For now, the SACP has not publicly responded to Ramaphosa's comments in full, but insiders suggest that the party is split between those willing to give the ANC one last chance, and those who believe a clean break is long overdue. A special alliance summit, expected later this year, may be the stage where the final decision is made. What is clear is this: the next chapter of South Africa's political evolution will be shaped not just by elections or party manifestos, but by the survival, or collapse, of the alliance that once led the country to freedom. And if that alliance breaks apart, the question won't just be what comes next, but whether the transformation agenda that so many bled for will ever be realized.